just to pose a question to the room, going back on what Tony was saying with like, core might need to reevaluate its mission. What do you guys think core's mission is? Or where do you think it's kind of diverged from its mission? Because I'm trying to pull it up right now, but again, my internet is still not going. But my understanding of core's mission is like, the idea of like this freshman or this first year seminar that or core one specifically, that we're all supposed to be able to have a shared experience and take this one class together. But there's, they're trying to keep race and gender in mind, especially, and of course other social identities. But like, I don't think there's anything in the mission specifically that's that says it's supposed to be this kind of ism tourism.
Yeah, I think Grace said it really well. It's that, like, admissions, one of the big like perks of Scripps that admissions always talks about is like, oh, the core program, and it's such a great like introduction to what college is, and it introduces you to like how to write academically and how to learn how to discuss issues and read and become, they use some term, it's not literarily aware, but it's something like more, it means well read basically, but it's something like that. Well rounded maybe, I don't remember, but I don't know that core did that for me, and I don't know if at this point core is just kind of a selling point and they're like, oh, it's this cool program that's unique to Scripps and it makes you become more well-rounded in issues, but I don't know that it's actually doing that. So I don't know if core knows what its mission is, I guess, if that makes any sense, or if the purpose that they're using to sell core as a selling point for Scripps is intended to attract white people, which is a problem in and of itself.
I would agree with that. To bring one of the points that Avalon had brought up, and to like mash it with something I said earlier, it feels like it's supposed to be this like wake up call to like, this is what the world really is. But a lot of people come in like Avalon, like already knowing what the world really is a little bit, having been like that one kid in the classroom when slavery's brought up, and like, you just, yeah, it feels like it's supposed to be, it's trying to invite you to look closer at stuff that it assumes you haven't already been forced to look closely at.
Yeah. So would you guys think if this doesn't reflect what you were saying, or you have a different idea, feel free to go ahead. But do you think we need a better training and for discussing these and more time spent on each of the readings, or something totally different, and to have different kinds of discussions?
Definitely more training for professors leading the discussions. And as for more time, I guess also more time with that surface level discussion, but I think also just I would like to see scripts taking its own like scripts following through on what they're trying to teach us, like in terms of like what everyone is saying about admissions. And I think also focusing on praxis and practical applications of the present.
It is history. Not seeing much.
Yeah, I forgot that was.
I only remembered it present.
Yeah, I agree with Shreya. She said a lot of smart things. Yeah, I feel like it's finding a way, I think specifically for the professors, more training of some kind, or maybe being a bit more selective about which professors you ask to teach core. I have heard numerous professors complain that they have to teach core 1, so that's an issue in and of itself. Because if they don't want to teach core, they're not going to do a good job, and they're not going to put the effort in to make it a good experience for the students, and that makes people not like core, and that's just a whole rabbit hole. But some kind of training for the professors, and I think trying to integrate some kind of praxis into the earlier parts of core, like Shreya was saying, I think that would be really valuable. Because core didn't feel like it really meant anything to me until we got to core 3, and I was like, oh, I get to do a thing that might actually help people and relates to my own experience. Like this is cool. And I think especially in core 1, I think a lot of the focus was on like learning how to write academically, and I do think that's important. And I don't know how it's changed now that writing 50 is a separate class. I honestly don't think they should be combined, because if you're focusing on learning how to write academically, you're not going to be discussing the issues. You're just going to be taking notes so you can write papers on them later.
And especially
again,
a professor who is not in a related department to that. Like, writing professor would be the best. I think you could do all right with like a history professor or something like that. But I don't think a dance or a biology professor, unless they have like, they have taken extra time and have a specific interest in this. Like, I trust them to be able to teach the class, but if I'm not getting a writing class, I would be concerned about that element, especially coming from a public school.
Most definitely. Yeah.
I wonder, I'm not sure what the process is of determining the new core curriculum, like for the next cycle, but I think it would be helpful to have students be an important part of that process and like help choose the theme and also the readings and the topics for each week. If they could get student input on that, that would be helpful, because I feel like there were a lot of things that we in the committee cycle heard about the changes that they were doing for the truth cycle, and changing, combining writing 50 with core. I feel like a lot of those of us who took writing 50 did not think that was a good idea, and like I guess things like that. I think taking student input would be valuable.
Yeah, like from understanding, it seems like writing a lot of reasons, because it was 14 professors who only teach writing 50 and come in for half the year. So that unfortunately the student input wouldn't have done stuff. But also there's some things like, I think an untrained discussion of Othello, you kind of just know is not going to go well. And that's a place where you could have a committee of students and have the students of color on it be like, have you really thought about maybe an alternative? And know the merch. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was fortunate enough to take writing 50 style class with a teacher that they usually have come in for writing 50 my first semester. So, and having had that experience, I would say that writing 50 needs to make a comeback if that's at all possible. Because, man, core, huh? It's just like, because it has the potential to be really good, where for students who need that wake-up call, it could be that wake-up call. And then for students of color who have already been forced to examine it and examine the world and maybe don't know that, it could be, hey, here's the language to put to your lived experiences. And that would be a really good way to protect and bolster Black and Brown voices, because it's giving like people a way to talk about it more eloquently and in an academic setting, and like find out that they're not alone. It can be a different type of like coming into the world and coming of age. It seems like Scripps is woefully unprepared to offer anything like that. That doesn't happen either in Core 3 or in a club setting. And we've lost Amaya.
We did lose Amaya. It does look like it's still recording now, so.
It is still recording because we've got Avalon.
Woo, Avalon!
But yeah, it was just, yeah. Because the first time I felt like, oh, a class has given me like language to like, oh, that's how you say that, rather than, yeah, that's something I already know, was in Core 3 with Martha Gonzalez, which, Avalon, if you have the chance to get into the collective songwriting core with Martha Gonzalez, I like, even if you don't do songwriting, it's a great time. She's so wonderful and like amazing to talk to, and has set up her class to give you like it's about finding your voice. It's like about putting your lived experiences, creating testimonies with your lived experiences, and doing that for yourself rather than for the purpose of educating white folks, which it feels like that's what Core 1 does a little bit. But anyway, that's my little plug for her because I love her to death.
So I'm guessing Amaya's not coming back. I don't know. So I'm thinking we're gonna wrap things up in a minute, but just a final question, asking anyone, is there anything else you'd like to add about your core experience and any other suggestions you have about making it more inclusive?
It'd be nice if there were more professors of color. But I guess that's less of a core thing and more of a Scripps thing.
Yeah. Can we just make Scripps less of Scripps and better? Like things they don't tell you when you apply. The administration is racist, but don't worry about it. Yeah. I mean, also more LGBT rep would be nice, and talking about it in a way that like isn't just a cis white gay man would be nice, but that'll happen when it happens, I guess.
Most of my core things are also Scripps please things. I would agree with more LGBT rep. We did have but there was a lecture on why trans people are valid for Trans Remembrance Day last year. Oh God, it's been a year. But it was, yeah, that was amazing. I don't know if that happened this year. I hope it did. But that was amazing. Getting to hear her talk about that. And it was Nancy Williams, I think. I'm sorry, my brain is distracted by trying to remember the name. But also, can we please talk about disabled folks and have more disabled folks in the room? Hey, Scripps.
I mean, one thing is like, assuming a certain type of disabled, but like, Scripps is not accessible.
Don't get me started on this topic because I will rant for hours. But no, it's not. So
Yeah, so I think that goes back a little bit to like where we were talking about admissions, like there's some ways in which like Scripps for POC can be a little bit rough, and trying to get admission, it's a very white school, but also like when you look at any disabled people who have mobile accommodations, they can't get on campus. You go on the tour route, and you just gotta go around so far. So much will take you much longer.
mm-hmm. And that, again, I will rant for hours. I'm not going to. I'm going to be good. However, I mean, that kind of gets back into the whole thing. Like, I mean, Scripps is built using a colonial aesthetic and colonial architecture. The institution was built to not be welcoming to people of color and was built to be inaccessible, which again, I don't know if that was done like intentionally or not, but at the time it was built, there was a very specific image of who gets to go to college and who doesn't. And the core program is still really only supporting the people that were supposed to go to college when Scripps was built. And the world is very different now. And Scripps, the institution, has not done a good job of keeping up. And
it might be, oh, sorry.
Well, I mean, it's like, I don't know what the core program itself can do about that. I think it's more of a symptom than the cause. But once again, the conversation goes back to, oh, Scripps as an institution kind of sucks. And we need to change that. But how? Which I don't know.
Like, I think, with some of our praxis or just like discussion relating it to the future, like, of course, this is based off the original humanities, just the humanities first year seminar, but we are 100 years later and we are more modern. We are not all white, all able-bodied, all Christian, all straight. And there's also, you made me think, like, with Scripps architecture, just in general, we talked about it being inaccessible, it being like that mission style is like, half of me is like, it's pretty, and half of me is like, it's a mission. But relating things to modern day, like, there's more that we could talk about and look at our Scripps history. Like, I just found out from my advisor, more reading to understand it better, but apparently the little courtyards that are all around Scripps were made to prevent lesbianism. And I know in the Tiernan Field House, there's a sculpture that was made by a Nazi.
Oh my God, we did a whole project on this. Yes. Yeah, we did that actually for Kim Drake's class. Hi, Kim Drake. We talked about it in our report on the different scripts pools. We talked about sculpture. Yeah, it was made by a Nazi and a man, and it's a sculpture of a naked woman in a all women's college institution. I don't know. We have some thoughts about this. So,
Were you guys able to get to the closing question? Sorry, my phone died and I dipped out. Oh, fabulous. Well, then I guess thank you all very much for taking this time and joining us. And I really appreciated this conversation.
yay.
Do you want to stop recording?